The Handkerchief by Great 78. Chapter 78. Legilimency and Lies. Mum, how did you develop your legilimency? They were in the far back of the gardens, walking alongside the lake. Narcissa and Draco had both cast a muffliato on the off chance that someone, or something, was listening.
I don't know exactly. As a very young child it was simple, easy. I would look at others and know what they were about to say, or what they were thinking. If I wanted something, I could kind of project that thought onto others. Middy always knew better and wouldn't allow me to get away with it, but I could often convince others to give me sweets, or let me stay up late, buy a book or a toy that I wanted, and the like.
Narcissa smiled ruefully and dipped her head in embarrassment. Then she continued,
As I grew, my own thoughts crowded my mind, and the thoughts of others grew too overwhelming. So I learned to close down my mind to others.
And now? Draco asked.
Now, it's more about intent. If something is being projected strongly, either to me or in general, I can read the thoughts nearly unnoticed. Likewise with projecting thoughts. I can't make someone do something they wouldn't ordinarily do, but I can present ideas and hope they latch on to them as their own.
This sounded much like Blaze's encounter with Potter and Luna before Slughorn's party last year. He turned to her with a serious expression. Can I create false memories? Say I obliviate someone first. Can I create a false memory? And can I do this for multiple people at once?
Draco!
Narcissa stopped walking and turned to look at him.
What are you saying? This all sounds very dangerous and illicit. I'm not sure you should be considering this.
Mum, I think we're pretty much waist-deep in dangerous and illicit, don't you? He said with a smirk, and they shared a rare fit of giggles. His mother sobered and looked into his eyes.
There's someone else who can help you with this. Someone who has much more experience in that sort of thing,
his mother said gently. An image of a hook nose, overly long black hair, and dark eyes came to his mind. If you mean Snape, Mother, you know I don't think he can be trusted.
Draco, I know you feel he shouldn't have done what he did, but please consider he was bound by the unbreakable vow. When I took the vow with him, I made him promise that if you were unable to complete the task, that he would do it.
Draco sucked in a breath. He had not realized that. Snape had only said that the vow was to protect Draco, nothing else.
And also, remember this, Snape has helped the Order in many ways, both known and unknown to us. We don't know what kind of arrangement that Snape had with the headmaster. It could be that they had worked out something long before, that if they were in that kind of dire situation, well, I don't know, but I feel as though there might have been more to the situation than what met the eye.
What do you mean? Draco asked swiftly, confused.
Only that, just as you were coming in from apparating here from Hogwarts, when Snape first entered, I felt a sense of love, care, sadness, all of it from him. Your emotions were strong as well, but I know them very well. They were familiar enough to me that they felt like my own emotions, so I could separate them from the others, from Snape's. There was a lot of remorse, and also a strong sense of loyalty. I'm not sure how to explain it. It was gone, occluded, after only a few seconds.
Draco thought about this for several moments in silence as they walked. If this were all true, that Snape was bound either by unbreakable vow or by some strange agreement to kill Dumbledore, it changed things. Draco still wasn't sure if Snape could be trusted,
But the older wizard was likely his only option. His mother, though skilled, hadn't learned her talents, but had been born with them. And he had mere days to figure this out. Lord Voldemort expected a report about the 10 people he'd agreed to investigate in less than 2 weeks' time. There wasn't enough time for him to learn such advanced magical techniques as he thought he needed. Draco apparated that night to the destination his mother had given him, a muggle town called Cokeworth, in the Midlands. The neighbourhood was made up of houses set close together, all in various states of disrepair and dilapidation. Even under the cover of night, Draco could tell that this was not a pleasant place to grow up. Rubbish was piled next to overflowing bins, and a man slept on a bench in a playground nearby. The playground itself was made up of a merry-go-round, a wonky slide, and 2 broken swings. Everything in the town was dominated by a tall chimney, belching smoke even at this late hour. He made his way swiftly out of the unlit alleyway into which he'd apparated, turning left and starting down the narrow, unevenly cobbled pavement. After a minute or so, he crossed the street and made a right on a tiny crooked street called Spinner's End. He stopped outside number 10. A light inside was on, but nothing about the place looked welcoming.
He knocked hesitantly.
The door opened, and Snape stood there, beady eyes looking him up and down. Draco was unsurprised to see him in his usual black flowing robes. He wondered briefly if Snape owned other clothes. Yes, a swimming costume. Now, Mr. Malfoy, let us get inside and discuss that for which you came. Draco entered without a word, and waited in the foyer whilst Snape reactivated his wards and safety charms. Finally, the former professor turned to Draco. "How can I help you?" he asked. Draco had started to speak, intending to get straight to the point and ask about Snape's legilimency expertise. Yet he found himself asking the same questions he'd asked the wizard the last time the 2 of them were alone. "I need to know what happened that night, on the astronomy tower, with Dumbledore." "I killed him." "I'm aware," Draco huffed. "I mean, what was your motivation? Where are your allegiances? The Dark Lord or the Order?" Snape gestured for him to sit on the sofa, then fixed 2 glasses of spiced vodka neat. He passed one to Draco, raised his glass, and said, "To those lost, but not forgotten." They each drained their glasses, and Snape pointed his wand at them, refilling them from the bottle. Draco met his professor's eyes once more. "So?" "I will explain to you my motivation, on the condition that you understand that no one else is to know. I tell you in confidence, and trust that it will not get back to others." "And by others, you mean Hermione?" Draco asked. "Miss Granger, yes. But also anyone else that you may meet in the Order. Any other Death Eaters, any professors, anyone in Slytherin, either of your parents." "Why can't I tell my mother?" "Anything I tell you will put you in significant danger. I do not wish for anyone else to be in that position. Now, do we have an agreement?" Draco sighed heavily. "Yes, fine. I agree. All right. As Dumbledore perhaps mentioned, he was aware of the plot to end his life. There were other factors, but the short of it is this. He was ready. He had accepted his impending death, but he wished to spare you the act of killing. He asked that I step in and do it instead." Draco leapt to his feet. "What? Why? Why not fight back? Why just accept it?" "There were circumstances." "What does that even mean?" Draco asked disbelievingly. "He was already dying.
Snape bit out with a hint of his raw emotion threading through his voice. This silenced Draco. He sat down heavily, lost in befuddled thought. After a few moments he said, "So, if he was already dying, and he knew that I had been tasked to kill him, why not just tell me earlier? Why not set it up so that I could kill him as a show for the Dark Lord?" Snape levelled him with a look, then took a long drink of his vodka, and exhaled slowly. "There is something that many people don't understand until it is too late. Killing. Causing someone else to die. It does something to the killer. It rips the soul. It rends the heart into pieces. Even when the death is imminent, justified, even requested, it hurts not just the person killed, but the person that does the killing," Snape explained. He paused a moment, took a deep breath, then continued. "Dumbledore knew this, and he wished to spare you, a young wizard with little life experience, this fate. But he did not wish to create a scene, to play act at murder. You would have been blamed by others, and a part of you still might have accepted the responsibility for his death. He wished for you to make this decision, reach this conclusion yourself, to choose not to be a murderer. Otherwise he worried that, if it wasn't this task that the Dark Lord had assigned to you, it would be another in the future, and eventually you may succumb to the pressure and do it. If you had, it would have broken your soul, and would have made it difficult for you to love." Snape paused here, staring down into his empty glass, lost in thought. "So, when I said that he had already saved you, and you did not know it, that is what I meant. He made you see what kind of person you truly were, before it was too late. And that is a true gift." Draco was silent, tears threatening to spill down his cheeks. He removed his handkerchief and wiped at his face. "And you, your soul, were the two of you not so worried about that?" "I admit, I did not wish to do it, but I knew the alternative to my killing him quickly and painlessly was that he would die a slow, painful, and drawn-out death, or that he would be hunted by the likes of Greyback or Yaxley or Roll, and would suffer before death. It was my choice to make, although there were times that I did not wish to make it, to uphold my promise." "It's what you argued about, that time near the Forbidden Forest," Draco murmured, almost to himself. "We argued about it many times." Draco sat, contemplating everything that had been said. "But what of the Order?" he asked. "You were acting on Dumbledore's behalf, but no one in the Order knows. You still have their best interest at heart." "I promised many years ago. Well, let us just say, yes. I'm still working on behalf of the Order, though they are not aware, and they cannot become aware." "Why?" Snape strode across the room, refilling the glass with the vodka without magic. "Do you think that they would believe if I were to tell them this? One of their own witnessed me killing their leader, and no one outside of the three of us, you, me, and Dumbledore, knows the truth about his death." Snape drank a long sip of the spiced vodka. "As a double agent, I have long been suspected from both sides, for good reason. At times, information, even people, must be sacrificed in order for this to end. Making those decisions does weigh heavily on the soul. I do not wish it, but I must remember that the ends justify the means. The end result must be the Dark Lord's defeat." Draco drained his own glass, placing it upon the table. He had made up his mind. He had to trust Snape with this. "I need your help, your advice. I've been given a task to locate, investigate, intimidate 10 Muggleborns. One is Edward Tonks. This is my Aunt Andromeda's husband. I know him," Snape said. "The other 9 are the Muggleborns at Hogwarts," Draco finished. Understanding dawned on Snape's face. "I see. And you need to convince them to flee the country." "Well, yes, that too. But it isn't my mission alone. I've been assigned a team. They are not the best and brightest, but I'm sure they will notice if I walk into a Muggleborn's house and urge their families to pack up and leave immediately. We are expected to report weaknesses, terrorize them, perhaps even kill them immediately if there's trouble. My idea was to warn the Muggleborns and then alter the memories and the minds of the Death Eaters that I'm with." Snape pondered the dilemma a moment. Altered memories create their own issues. If the Dark Lord were to use a pensieve to view these memories, he would likely realize that they had been altered. Even obliviation creates a magical signature that can be overturned. We will need to come up with a different way. Who are the Muggleborns you need to investigate? Draco removed the list from his trouser pocket and passed it to Snape. Aside from Healer Tonks and Hermione, it included Justin Finch-Fletchley, Colin and Dennis Creevey, and 5 younger Hogwarts students, mixed among the 3 non-Slytherin houses at the school. "Ah, I think part of the work is done already. I recall these names." He pointed out 4 of the youngest students' names: Henry, Willingham, Everett, and Spectre. They were students who were enrolled 2 years ago, but withdrew from the school and left England when they realized that the tide was shifting. So for these 4, all you must do is investigate their last known address. Once it is established that they no longer live here, those can be removed from your list." "And what of the other 6? Draco asked, rubbing his temples. "I feel that in the case of Ted Tonks and Miss Granger, you may be able to contact them and arrange for them and their families to appear as though they have already fled. It would be far better, safer, if you can convince them to actually leave." "I'm also acquainted with Justin and the Creevey brothers." "Good. That just leaves this witch, Claire Moffat. She's a Hufflepuff, set to be a 4th year this September. You'll need to do what you can to convince her and her family to leave. You'll need to work the escape out with a witch or wizard for each family." Snape paced the room, lost in the task at hand. He continued, "However, it may seem odd if everyone on your list appears to have already fled, so perhaps we create at least 1 false memory for your team. If we recreate the entire memory from start to finish, it may not appear as altered, if seen from a pensieve." Snape strode to his bookcase, locating the tome he was searching for and opening it to read swiftly. After a moment he continued, "I will warn you, it will not be pleasant. If you have been sent there to torture or kill, that is the false memory that we need to implant. We can create memory of a murder of one of the ones who has already fled." "So they'll believe that one of the Muggleborns was caught and killed?" Draco asked. Snape looked him in the eyes and said, "You will also need to believe it for this to work, Draco. When it's over, you will need to believe in the veracity of this horrific act. Perhaps even believe that you performed it with your team. This conversation, any others that we have about it, they'll no longer exist in your mind. You'll only have the false memories of that death. Are you prepared to do that?" Draco closed his eyes and breathed heavily. In, out, in, out. "Yes. Whatever I need to do. But I cannot let these people die." "Very well. Tell me about your team." Draco listed them for him. "Perfect. Nott is known for needing a drink to get out of bed in the morning. so it would not be unusual for him to accept the suggestion of a drink for everyone before leaving for your mission. Pettigrew is a born follower, and Caro likewise will not want to miss out on a chance of being included in something. We will lace the drinks with a simple but highly effective sleeping draught. Whilst they are out, you will warn the families. For the false memory, I think it best if you bring the team to the house in question. That way the memory will seem more realistic. There will be a lead up to it, if you will. This fake memory will start when the door opens. The two wizards worked out which days they would act, and how they would coordinate. Draco gave Snape an enchanted coin with which to communicate. He planned to space out the false missions over 3 days, for the following week. This would give him time to plan for the missions, but also to coordinate with Hermione. He just hoped it would be enough time. "I've been given a new mission, and I need your help to tank it. Can you meet next week? What days?" She answered quickly.
"Any day is fine. My parents are working at the dental practice during the day, so I have all day."
"Perfect. Tell me your closest apparition point. Can you meet me Monday at 9 in the morning there?"
"Yes, the small group of trees in the centre of the Hampstead Heath cricket pitches. Apparate there, and I'll meet you."
Thank you for listening to this chapter of The Handkerchief by Great 78.